Hello everyone, it's April, springtime in Delta, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm filming this wonderful ceremony as children release salmon fry into the creek that feeds into the Fraser River. A special First Nation song to wish the salmon a safe journey and a long and healthy life. The Department of Fisheries brought a big tanker down to the creek and handed out buckets of young salmon to the children so that they can gently release the salmon fry out into their first wild water. These creeks and streams lead into the Fraser River and from there out to the Salish Sea. On World Wildlife Day, I'd like to share a few of my video clips with you and talk about salmon and how important salmon is to our ecosystem. And I'm very happy to present this in collaboration with the Nature Trust of British Columbia. I filmed some of this footage you can see on the screen at the Department of Fisheries Inch Creek Hatchery near Mission. The tanks are full of young salmon fingerlings at different stages. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes to keep our salmon fish stocks healthy. Most of us don't even think of salmon until it arrives on our plate, a delicious and nutritious treat. I'm lucky enough to work with my friend Shasta, who shares smoked and fresh salmon with me, caught in the Skeena River far up north, which her family sends to her. It even reaches me. In 2019, the Nature Trust of British Columbia launched a 5-year project to improve estuary habitat and enhance the long-term sustainability and health of wild BC salmon fish stocks. The project is built on strong partnerships between coastal First Nations, non-governmental organizations, provincial and federal governments, and academic groups. Salmon are a keystone species, which means the ecological impact they have on other wildlife is greater than would be expected in relation to their biomass. Salmon are not an immediately visible wildlife like birds or animals. They literally swim under the radar, but they play a very important role in our entire environment and ecosystem here in British Columbia. Just look at those fat seals and the young bald eagles fighting over scraps on the shore. This is the estuary of the Fraser River where it enters the sea. I think they've been feasting on salmon. And just look at this sea line, just offshore from the Fraser River. And the seagulls are hoping for a few scraps of his fish. He's really enjoying it. We have 5 different species of wild salmon here in BC. They may look similar in appearance, but have very different life cycles. We have the sockeye, which stays in freshwater streams and rivers for up to 3 years before migrating out to sea, travelling thousands of kilometres to Alaskan waters and the North Pacific Oceans before returning at about 5 or 6 years old, often with the uncanny ability to the very creeks where they hatched 5 years ago. What a journey for a fish. We also have the pink salmon, whose life cycle is only about 2 years. They migrate out to sea as soon as they hatch, and then return as 2-year-old adults to spawn in the streams and rivers close to the ocean. One of the most interesting things about salmon is their ability to adapt their breathing and oxygen transfer from freshwater to a saltwater environment. The annual migration is called a run. When they return to the freshwater streams, they are racing against time to get to their natal gravel beds to lay their own eggs. The clock is ticking as their bodies are starting to shut down, adjusting from the saltwater back to fresh. The coho and chum salmon have a life cycle of about 3 to 5 years, but the chum's migration is only 150 kilometers, whereas the coho migrates up to 1,500 kilometers. The Chinook salmon has the longest life cycle, 4 to 7 years, spending the first 2 years in freshwater before migrating out to sea, returning at about 7 years old to spawn and then die. Their life cycles are just amazing. Our estuaries and rivers are so important. We must protect them and support those who are doing such great work keeping our environment healthy. Through the Estuary Resilience Project, the Nature Trust of BC, the West Coast Land Management Program and First Nation partners have utilised the work and outputs of studies to inform restoration action to improve habitat for fish and wildlife. The annual salmon run usually happens in autumn, September to November, which coincides with the pre-winter activities of many hibernating animals. The annual salmon run is a major feeding event for predators such as bears, wolves, and bald eagles, not forgetting the importance to BC sport fishermen. The post-spawning death of salmon has important ecological consequences because of the significant nutrients in their carcasses: nitrogen, sulfur, carbon, phosphorus. They're all transferred from the ocean and released to inland aquatic ecosystems, wetlands, woodlands, to degrade further and enrich the forest floor. Their spawning and death not only affects the next generation of salmon, but every wildlife species living in the riparian zones of the salmon reach. Nutrients are washed downstream to the estuaries where they accumulate and provide significant support for invertebrates and migratory and breeding water birds. Thank you so much for watching. Please support the Nature Trust of British Columbia. I'll put some links in my description.